Here we are. Check it out. I'm Pmiller with Underground Voices, and today we are being blessed with the opportunity to hang out with one of my favorite MCs in the city of Austin. I know I've been told that I'm the king of hyperbole, and I definitely like to exaggerate because I think I think that's how you should talk. You should talk big whenever you can. But I say this with no hesitation that this man has one of the greatest gifts with the pen in the city. And the only person he's second to is himself when he's trying to be greater than himself. So really quick, as we get started, why don't we give it up for the main man, Salus Herb. Give it up, 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 give it up. I saw you recently at the freestyle show at Revival Coffee, and you were killing it. How do you have the stamina to freestyle for what seems like hours? Do you ever?
It was hours.
It was hours. Okay.
It was,
Okay.
Yeah, it was a 2.5 hour set, and we actually do that every month.
Yeah.
I used to write poetry a lot, and like there was a passion for music. Like I grew up a child of a musician. Like my father.
No kidding.
Part of like the English hair metal invasion. Like he almost played for Whitesnake at one point. He played for some pretty big local groups, and a couple in like South Africa. But because of that, obviously, I grew up, in a pretty musically inclined family.
So, oh wow, I had no clue. That makes a lot of sense now why you're so musically inclined.
And it was weird too because, like, my dad, like I said, he's big into rock. Like, he's through and through classic rock, hair metal. Like, he doesn't even really listen to the most modern metal. Like, he's very much stuck in his time. So when I decided to become a hip-hop artist, I thought he was going to be kind of a little bit upset because I wasn't really going necessarily with what he did, but he is actually incredibly supportive. He's like very proud of me, and very like me and him talk about music all the time because he lives in England right now, so like I try to talk to him like once a week. We usually have like an hour and a half conversation. We just talk about music. Like he actually wants to do some music with me, like some like Rage Against the Machine style tracks. But I was like, that seems like a perfect middle ground for us because like my dad is a incredible guitar player. You're talking about a dude that was a savant that's literally dedicated like pretty much his whole life to playing guitar.
Do you find that any of that, like his stylings make his way into your music? Like any genetic music taste coming into what you do?
A little bit. I think the hard-biting lyrics and sometimes tongue-in-cheek, like satirical style that I'll bring. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, a lot of my style came from like my upbringing outside of like my family, like what I experienced from my environment.
I was gonna
my
say
family values still come out in my music, but a lot of it is more like personal discovery than necessarily how my father influenced me.
When it comes to your music, when I first heard it, I clearly understood this is a person who is very in touch with their emotions. They are capable of observing the world in a way that is relatable to anybody else who has gone through something. How do you toe that line of being a fun, dope lyricist while also being somebody who is getting their feelings out in a way that isn't condescending but very relatable? Like I'm one of you guys too.
Man, that is actually a really good question. I actually kind of like toil with this in a lot of regards, especially when I'm like deciding to do projects, because for the most part I'm not really a singles kind of guy. Mm-hmm. Like I have nothing against it, but for the most part, usually if I'm gonna pour my like energy and like emotions and like soul, so to speak, into a whole musical endeavor, I'm usually gonna try to strive for like an EP or an album, just so it just gives me more space to detail the theme. Like I'm very much, anytime I go into a project, it's always some kind of thematic to it. Some kind of theme, some kind of concept, something that I feel like I need to address either for personal reasons or from what I've seen from like the outside world, either local or on a much grander scale.
Would you say that your freestyling is a way for you to reach or like come to terms with whatever you've got going on inside, or it's a way to bring that out. Is that kind of, would that be fair to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like freestyling to me is truly like a form of therapy.
I'm interested in your rhyme scheme. How do you decide? Yeah, go ahead.
Usually I do it. Sometimes I'll kind of do it in like a formulaic fashion. Like I'll do maybe like a 4-bar scheme, or maybe I'll switch it up and do 2 and 3s. But like when it comes to actually concocting the bars themselves,
Yeah.
I kind of ride the wave of the song. If the song's a little bit more on a mellow vibe, maybe I won't do anything quite as internal rhyme intensive, and let it kind of flow and smooth so people can really get what I'm saying. Like for example, when you're saying with like Time, yesterday when you were reviewing the track, that is exactly that was that kind of intention. But like with other tracks, like some of the stuff you're probably more used to me spitting, like when you see me and Dilla perform, that stuff, it's how can I not overword it, but cleverly contrive with a smooth flow and clever rhymes in it, this message in a bombastic way that people will be like, damn, how the hell did he come up with that?
I find myself asking myself that a lot when I listen to your music. I definitely do. I find myself asking that.
Man.
Let me know your opinions on this. I've always thought this. I've always thought that, like, and hey, I shouldn't take all my life lessons and quotes from A Tribe Called Quest, but I do take some of them. He said, competition within, it brings out the vital parts. What I took that to say was, what I took that to say was, your competition is with everybody else, but that competition within you is what's going to make you greater. Do you find yourself, when you're writing, are you the type of person that's like, hey, I have to do better than this? Or do you have a bar that you've already set for yourself and you're like, all right, as long as I match this, I'm okay? Or are you always trying to do better than your last song? Yeah.
I think for a lot of regards, as it's almost necessary for artists to always strive to better themselves, because the whole point of this journey is growth. So obviously, every time I make a project, I'm hoping that it's the best project I've ever done. That is obviously something I would always strive for sure. As for, do I specifically hold that as the only trademark? Not necessarily. Like, I feel like if a song is done good enough justice and I feel really proud of it, it doesn't matter necessarily how it holds itself compared to some of my other material.
How do you know you're done with a track? That makes me want to know, like, how do you know that you're done?
That's tough. Because a lot of regards it's like a push and pull. Like the perfectionist in me always wants to continue working and building on the track. But then you end up being like a Jay Electronica, where you sit on music for literally forever. Shouts
out to Jay Electronica. Big fan of the show. Big fan.
He's an amazing artist, but bro, he's infamous for that. Like that is something that like people have kind of held against him.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people are like that. They're not happy until the project is just like absolutely perfect. But that can take years to develop. Me, a lot of times there's just this moment. It's like a gut feeling. I don't know how to explain it. There's no necessarily logic to it. It just, at a certain point, I just feel like this is ready. And if I continue to keep fighting, I'm going to keep fighting and finding excuses not to drop it. And when you just find that gut feeling sometimes with stuff like that, it may not be the most logically sound strategy, but at least it gives me comfort and conviction with it.
I cannot agree more with that. I believe that we all need to operate under that. Like, you have to be your own biggest fan. Yo, I gotta say, you and Darks, that's another MC in Austin, have excellent...
Yeah, a fellow Ideal Collective member, I might add.
Excellent chemistry. Just, man. Oh my gosh. It's fantastic. So, I love seeing you guys work.
I guess this is a good opportunity, to get into a little bit more about Ideal Collective, since we're, bringing up other members.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's bring it up.
Yeah, so I guess first off, I should list all the members of Ideal, and then I can kind of go back into Darks, and if we want to touch up into some of the other members and everything, we can too. We got time. Ideal Collective, it was something I created as kind of an inspiration from like Native Tongue and Rhyme Sayers and groups like that. And basically, I brought together a lot of MCs that I genuinely like, kind of fucked with, and just like really liked their style and just how they conducted themselves. And I thought, I could help them. Like, Ideal Collective is a label, but it's a non-contractual label. Like, I don't hold anyone to any obligations. It's a mutual agreement that we all are trying to elevate each other to a better place. We're making a fertile garden for us all to grow out of, so to speak.
With your style of hip hop, where do you find your lane in Austin? Because that's where we are, and I know you've traveled to do your music a few times, I'm sure.
It's Austin is hard, honestly. Yeah. It's still a very weird city when it comes to hip hop. In some regards, it does support it, and others it doesn't. Like, it still very much seems more like a traditional blues rock city. Like, it's a lot easier as a rock group and a blues group to get a gig in Austin. And I'm not trying to knock anything.
No, that's not what we're doing.
But it just seems like the market and audience tends to still favor that a little bit. Like, Austin has really strong rock and blues foundations. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan hailed from here, and he is like a legend of the city. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
But to go into how do I get gigs, I mean, really it's ironic, but it actually started with me going out of my city. Most of my first years of performing were solely in San Antonio. Really? And then from there, I kind of built some connections, and some Austin artists came out and, performed on shows with me, and I've kind of built a network from there.
You said something pretty interesting to me just now. Like, when it comes to writing and making your music and performing and just being a part of this life, how deep are you into it? Would you say that this is something that, like, you live and breathe and eat it, or are there other facets of you that the people don't really know about that help complete you? Is music the thing that fulfills you 100%, or is it, or is there parts of you that, like, oh, well, I also, I write Pokemon fan fiction on the side. Like, is that? Yeah. Well, I'm very curious. That's like a personal question. I want to know.
Yeah. I like this. I like this, man, because this is stuff I don't necessarily open up to.
Sure.
So, music is a huge part of my life, yes, and especially before I got incarcerated, I seem to have dedicated a large point of my energy and time into it. And I mean, I don't necessarily regret it, because it helped me to push my label and push, my whole position in the city to a better place. But reflecting on it, when I had a lot of time to reflect on it, I realized that I can't dedicate solely my time to one passion when I have so many others. Like, I'm a big anime buff. I love gaming. I'm a big food connoisseur. I love travel. I love history. Like, I have a lot of passions. And I mean, obviously a lot of that reflects in my music. A lot of that can tie back into it. But obviously I'm a human being. I can't be a one-note song. So I do service a lot of other passions, but I do try to make sure I dedicate a decent amount of time to music.
And let me know your thoughts. But I tell people this all the time. The song that you're writing right now is not your magnum opus, So you have so much more in you that you don't even know.
It's like when people said Low End Theory was Tribe's magnus opus, or Midnight Marauders was Tribe's magnus opus. And then they dropped, what was the joint they dropped in 2016?
I can picture thank you for trying it. We'll handle it. Thank you for listening. We'll handle it now, or we'll take it from here.
Like that.
Yeah,
bro. That shit almost won a Grammy.
That shit went crazy.
Bro, that's such an ill record, but that's just a perfect example that no matter how much you think you've written your best, you can always still come up with some phenomenal material.
I know it's very early in both of our careers, right? But I do like to think about this. What do you want to leave? As far as like the Salus Herb legacy,
Ideal Collective legacy, so to
Salus Herb Ideal Collective legacy, so to speak. What is your what is your ideal situation? What happens when you're gone, or not even gone? Like you stopped making music for some God forbidden reason.
when I step down, or when
Yeah.
I finally kind of step back and let someone else run the show, so to speak. What's the
Yes.
legacy I intend to leave?
Yes. Yeah.
I want to leave. I want to leave a legacy of integrity. I want to leave a legacy of supporting creative growth. I want to leave a legacy of providing a bigger platform for the city, giving Austin artists more opportunity to get the shine they deserve, because there's so many talented individuals in this city, and I just feel like the city does not give credit where credit's due. And I think that's the legacy and goal that I'm striving, is to at least lay bricks on that bridge to finally get us across that.
And give me your thoughts on this as an artist. How do you find yourself handling feedback, or even receiving it? What do you do? You know, somebody tells you.
I always take feedback, especially if it's from a respected peer. Like obviously feedback from one of my label mates, or like you, or like someone like Jason or Big Mike, or someone that I know I can actually respect their opinion as an artist, is going to hold a little bit more weight than a stranger. Not that I don't appreciate the opinions of like strangers and fans, but obviously I feel like being a musician gives you a stronger standpoint of understanding music, because you've been involved in the whole process.
Okay, so saying that, two things. One, what top 3 albums of this year so far for you? And then second question, top 3 animes for you. Yeah.
Oh man, we going into this.
Yeah.
So top 3 albums of this year.
Yeah.
Let me think about it. I'm trying to think of all what got released this year. Obviously, Joey's got to be on there. I would probably put the Jid album as well.
That was really good.
Really liked his joint. Also, he's coming to Austin in Valentine's Day next year.
He is. You know? Yes. Him and Smino.
I'm almost for sure gonna go. I think me and my girl are gonna go see that. I've been getting
awesome.
into Smino.
Smino's the GOAT. I love him.
Let's see. Third album. Damn. I think Mick Jenkins dropped an album earlier this year.
Did he?
That was really, really, really good, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you.
Dropped it this year or last year? Now to address the second.
Yeah, this is the more important one. This is the one that's going to make or break your fandom right here. This is.
All right.
Let's start with all time first.
All time. Let's see. One Piece.
Okay.
Up there. I'm a big One Piece fan. I'm all caught up with the manga. Like I read that every week. Jujutsu Kaisen would have to be up there.
That's a good one.
Out of all the more recent animes, that one is just appealed to me in a lot of ways. I really like how the characters are written. I like the story. The combat is beautifully animated, and it's creative. It's not too cliche.
Yeah.
You know, people have unique abilities, and it builds to the story, and you can tell they're just kind of putting pieces in the background. And I like story arcs, but I like also a grander story being told slowly. It kind of gives this like reward and satisfaction at the end. That's why I like One Piece so much. It's like it is literally the end all be all for world building. Like I don't know if there's gonna be an anime anytime soon that's ever gonna compete with One Piece for world building.
Okay, all right, okay. So I'm okay.
You got One Piece, and then this one's tough, because I have a couple that are kind of like a tie for third, but they're both kind of a similar style. And that's Trigun and Cowboy Bebop. The reason I like Trigun a lot is I'm a Buddhist, and the whole path of Vash through the series very much appeals to what appeals to me about Buddhism, which is the value of life and like trying to create harmony instead of dissonance.
Guys, this has been awesome. Thank you for joining and listening and sticking with us as we explored the artistry of the man that is Salus Herb. One more applause for the main man himself.
Anyone that tunes in later after this is posted, like, I can't appreciate it enough. The fan base and people that take interest and actually like want to hear my story. So thank you so much.
Thank you once again. I'm Pmiller. I started Underground Voices, and it's It's for the people. We're here to uplift the artist and bring everybody together. So if you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe. If you liked me, go ahead and like the video and comment down below what you liked about it. And join the Discord so we can talk music and make a bigger connection, man, because that's what it's about. It's about who you know, and it's about connecting and making this web bigger. So again, I'm Pmiller, and I will holler at you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining. And we are out of here. Tiptoeing on a beat like I'm dancing on glass. Cracks in the bottom and I hope I don't crash. Racing to the bottom when a moment zoom past. Take a photograph, it'll make it last long.